Hi everybody, Russ and My Hammers 11. Hope you're all safe and well. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hitting the bell icon so you're made aware of any time we put new content on. As always, we'd like to thank our channel sponsors, Untuck It. Check them out in the description below. Today's guest, we've had his son on. Son was a few months ago. We had Rob on, so it's only right we have Vic on. So how you doing, Vic? How are you, mate?
Yeah, doing well. Thanks, Russ. Yeah, be a pleasure to spend the next few minutes with you.
Few minutes, that's what I like.
No, it won't be a few. Never knowingly cut a long story short. That's my motto.
But it's, and obviously we're recording this on Sunday. It's going to go out Monday anyway. So obviously 3 points, job done, wasn't it? Really?
But yeah, today, it's. Considering the amount of possession we had, and I thought we dominated the game in certain spells.
Yeah,
still couldn't get that second one, could we? And you think, is it going to be the West Ham way? And then McBurn is the bar, and so no, it's like I'm sure Sheffield United would have identified that as a possible 3 points, to get them out of that a little bit out of that situation. But maybe the old West Ham may have succumbed, but. I think most of us are liking what Moyes is doing at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, and the Fulham game as well, isn't it? We never play rubbish and win. You always play rubbish and lose. So it's nice to not play well and still win. And so it's a bizarre thing. But 2 clean sheets. Can't complain with that, can you? I think I'm pro Moyes. I just think he's got something going on. Do you know what I mean? There's something going on. You can tell. And also the way the commentators get them talking about it as well, like how well West Ham play and how they as a unit and stuff like that. And it's nice to hear those types of things going from the commentators because obviously they're noticing them as well. So we'll see, mate. We'll see. But it's nice, isn't it? Because obviously we had those like that horrible well, it wasn't horrible because West Ham fans know we turn up for the big games, but we had all the top teams, so to speak, and now we had this sort of mini run of Fulham. Obviously, we had United today, and then we obviously got Villa next Monday, and so that was sort of, you were looking at least 6 to 9 points. Obviously to 9, that's a maximum, but at least 6 points out of those 3 games. So we go into Villa game. I'm really confident because I think Villa are a little bit off the pace now from yesterday's result. So
yeah, I think if we remember what Moyes' Everton was like when Moyes' Everton used to come down to Upton Park, I can't remember beating them too many times, and if we did beat them, it would have been regarded as a very, very good 3 points. And I'd like us to be as solid as Everton were at that time, and harder to beat. But if there's a trophy in the next few years, who knows?
Yeah, I know what you mean. but it was the first time we've beaten Sheffield United in the top flight since 1968 or something like that. Ridiculous.
So that's what the commentator was saying, But as Rob pointed out to me earlier, we beat them on more than one occasion in the second tier of.
I remember going to them. Yeah, definitely. And also, I think, but also Haller's goal was the first ever top flight goal he scored outside the box.
That's right. Yeah.
Like, what? It's like, really? Yeah. Surely you look a bit more happy by scoring your first top flight go outside the box, but he always looks miserable, doesn't he? It's that French, it's the Frenchness about him. So but it was good to see him score. I think he needed to get a goal, didn't he? To be honest,
he showed a bit more passion at the final whistle when he realised 3 points.
Yeah,
but at the time, I don't like arrogance. I think Anelka had that as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
If Alloa was half as good as Anelka, I'll be pleased.
I hate that, yeah.
There's something in their makeup. I don't know. I'm hoping it's not arrogance, but you look at when Fornell scores, that the passion oozes out of him. That great smile, just a little bit. Just pass a little bit that on to Seb.
Yeah, exactly. But and Fornell, it's not just when he scores, but when anyone scores, he's just like a little kid, isn't it? He's absolutely brilliant.
Rob and I love Fornell. Yeah, we love him.
Yeah, he's good. And he's one of those players like a bit like sort of Masuaku and Cresswell and Antonio that Moyes has really sort of transformed into a different player, because obviously we signed him as like almost like a 10 really, and he's gone to sort of left of the 3 and really done well. I think Fornals, it always looks like he's going to do something on the ball, and And as I've coined this phrase Moyesifications, to Moyesify as a player. And he's been Moyesified by Mr. Moyes, and so has obviously Antonio and stuff. And yeah, I mean it's good, isn't it? It's nice to go into a game and feeling confident, and I think we can all feel confident going into the Villa game, because 2-3 weeks ago I don't think so, because they were riding high, but they seem to have just. But then it's always. But then we always say that's the thing. We always say it. It's like when they go, "Oh, Sheffield United haven't won a game."
Yeah.
Enter West Ham. Because that always seems to happen. But no, it's all good.
I'll tell you what, Russ. Interrupting you. I've already learned a new word tonight: Moyesification. And
Moyesification.
That into the vocabulary.
Feel free to use it.
Someone I think's benefited from that. Fingers crossed to say it. Balbuena.
Yes, great shout.
Balbuena's biggest fan, but he's keeping Diop outside now, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I think he's on a decent run of form.
He is, and it's funny because I mean those three, if you look like Diop, Oggy, and Balbuena, always there's two in form out of them. So it was always like, and so it started off Balbuena and sort of Diop really at the beginning, and then Oggy wasn't really getting much of a look in. Then one of them got injured, and then Oggy and Diop, and Balbuena had no form. And now she said it's Balbuena and Oggy, and Diop there's no chance getting in the moment.
No, right.
And Balbuena's playing the play. He was the player I thought we was going to get. Because he just, you're not. If you're a captain of Corinthians, you ain't no mug. Particularly if you're Paraguayan as well. So it's not even your team, your country's team. So no, I think he's back to the general that we all love and hope. So it's all good. Yeah, let's hope so. It's good. And I mean, it's nice. It's nice. Like, you look on Twitter and it's not all doom and gloom, which is nice for a change with West Ham. But
we don't ask a lot, though, do we, West Ham fans? Yeah. I mean, back in the day, we'd win an FA Cup every 5 or 6 years. Maybe have the odd relegation battle and that. We don't ask a lot. We just want to like feel like we do tonight, I suppose. And enjoy watching the team,
Well, it is. It's just, you want the team to, if the team don't win, you want them to put a shift in. Because if the team win, it doesn't really matter sometimes, because it's all about at the moment getting the points in, getting us into a position that we're happy with. But if the team don't play well, if the team have lost or maybe got a draw, if they've put a shift in and they've had a go, then like they did at Liverpool and Arsenal this year, then you can't really, obviously the Newcastle game was the thing where we lost and we were crap, and so that's why that game was such an awful thing. But and apart from that game, really, we've played all right. We've either Fulham game wasn't great, but Fulham tried to nullify us. They missed, and so sorry, you don't want to know. But sorry, Vic's told me. Vic's told me not to tell him any scores. So of the other games.
No, I know the Fulham score.
Okay, so obviously they missed another penalty today, didn't they? So
I don't know the others.
Yeah, they missed another penalty. It's unbelievable, but no, it's all good. And there's a roll on Villa now. And it's good that we come back from international. There's no international break until March now, so which is good, isn't it? Because it seems to just get in the way all the time. We get a bit of momentum, and then obviously, the good thing is obviously it means that Antonio will hopefully be in the squad for the Villa game. Yeah. I think Moyes has got a bit of a, does he play him or does he, does he risk? Because the thing is, we're going to have all these games in December. We couldn't, I don't know. I don't know if I'd risk him.
I think Antonio. It was a good managerial decision in hindsight. Not picking him today. You know, and Allah's come up with a winner, obviously. So it makes it a good decision that just to give him another week, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see.
Even then, like if Allah's got the winner, does Mikel
That's what I mean.
Come straight back into the side?
That's what I mean. He's in confident. He scored for the Ivory Coast. He scored a banger today, and so. Does he start with him, at least put Antonio on the bench, and then because my worry is he comes back too soon from this injury, and over Christmas we know there's like so many games over Christmas, and so we really need everyone fit. So that's when it obviously makes a big difference, and if you've got a fully fit squad going into Christmas, because after every game every 3 days, whatever it is. So it's one of these, man. But we'll see. At least there's sort of like. there's competition for places. I mean, even Ben Rama hasn't managed to get many minutes yet, and we know he's chomping at the bits. So it's nice to see some competition for places in the sort of midfield and up front, not in defence really, but midfield and up front. And I found out today that it's Soufal, not Kufal.
That's right. Yeah. And Southcheck instead of
yeah, I don't get that. No, I don't think the Southcheck's right. I really don't, because like Martin, me and Martin like message each other. Martin does obviously the announcing at the ground, and he says Soucek, and he hasn't been corrected yet from the press guys. But Soufal, obviously, we've heard it from the horse's mouth. He wants to be called Soufal. It should be Kufal, but Soufal.
Yeah.
Anyway. When you and Rob watch the football, do you listen to it with the crowd noise on or the crowd noise off?
I don't deliberately switch either on. I don't sit there and say to Rod, "Oh, let's have some crowd noise."
Yeah,
it's quite interesting. Like actually hearing the players, if you can, and the coaches and that. So I think if I did think about it, I would probably leave the crowd noise off.
Yeah, I had it on today. I had it off today. It was on the as you said, I just pressed one button and it came up. And God, it was noisy. God, they all shout. Everyone shouted today. It was really, really noisy.
I think Craig really got caught out with the F word. I think.
Yeah, well, that's what I like. That's what I like.
I was waiting for the apology from the. Normally the commentators say like, "We're sorry if you heard unsavoury word or whatever," but like I think you got away with that one.
That's what I like, but that's why I like listening to the crowd noise off, because you get, it's a Sunday or whatever, and you a bit of swearing on before 9 o'clock. I'm a bit of a child like that. My daughter's watching it as well. It's quite funny because they don't do it like they really shout it, don't they? So it's like it does make me giggle. Right, okay, Vic, safe. First question. He says, 11 minutes in. That ain't bad today. First question is, why are you a West Ham fan, Vic? We've had Rob mentioned why he was a fan, and you obviously a big, massive. You were the main part of why he was a West Ham fan. But why you are a fan? That's what I want to know today.
Right. Well, I think I'm typical of my generation, where I inherited it from my dad, and my dad was from sort of like the thatched house, Leytonstone, Stratford area.
Yeah,
and he was a West Ham for well over 50 years.
Wow.
And he told me he first took me when I was 3. So that was 1962. So not a bad time to start supporting.
No, not at all. Yeah,
I was like a 2-3-year-old, 3-4-year-old glory hunter. I don't know, but I can certainly say I was introduced at the right time.
God, yeah. Wow, what a time to exactly just getting to peak.
I can't tell you what that game was. I've absolutely no idea. If I was to talk about my earliest memories, it would be, I can remember standing on my dad's knee up in if you remember the North Bank West Stand corner, there was a cage up there. And the steps were really sort of like high, like deep. And I can remember standing on my dad's knee, watching from that position. But my earliest actual memory with anything to do with West Ham is actually standing on the corner of Green Street and Romford Road, watching the team bring the 64 Cup back for the free parade. But I don't remember watching the game the day before. I can remember standing on that exact. I could take it to the place. Standing in that exact corner, watching the coach come by with the team on top of it.
Fantastic.
That was my first sort of. But I've been going probably a couple of seasons before then.
Sure.
But, I just don't remember. I'm a little bit. I'm gutted really when you talk to people and they tell you what their first game was.
Yeah.
I ain't got a clue. One of my good mates, my good football mates, his first game was the West Ham Sunderland 8-0. Jeff Hurst 6 goals.
Wow.
It was his first game.
Wow. Some people, when I've interviewed them, they're notable first games. One of them was Hull City when Steve Potts scored.
Yeah,
I was like, that's brilliant. That is that is like a 0.2% chance of, because obviously 500 odd games and one goal. Ironically enough, I found out yesterday because someone tagged me on a post at Facebook that yesterday was my was the anniversary of my first ever game at West Ham, which was 28 years ago. Right. So yes, 5-3 Oxford United against Oxford United.
I've got 30 years on you, have I?
Yeah, a few more years. It's just a few. But yes, I remember that. Yeah, because Oxford United scored after 30 seconds. Can you remember me, like little whippersnapper getting all excited, and 30 seconds in Oxford United score, and my granddad turned to me and went, "Get used to it, son. You got a whole lifetime of this." And I was like, "Yep, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Cheers, granddad." Yeah. And then I think we were 2-1 up after about 5 minutes, so it was all right. And then someone quizzed me about it in a recording we did yesterday. Did I remember the team that played? I was like, no. I don't remember. I barely remember. I remember getting there. I remember probably, the drive there, but I can't remember the team. And the team was like, Ludo and Potsy and all this. Like, I could have guessed it. To be fair,
Yeah.
The only one I can remember is George Paris. So he was in midfield at the time.
I think Joey Beecham scored for Oxford?
He did.
I think we won 4-2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it's 5-3. It was 5-3.
Was 5-3?
Yeah, but Joey Beecham did score. Yeah, and Julian scored one of his 35-yard pings, like he used to do in the free kicks. So it weren't too bad. And apparently the attendance was 11,000. So no wonder he got a ticket that day. It's one of those really shit games early on in that Division 2 season before it started getting a bit close, and we were getting close to going up, and every game was a sellout. I remember obviously going to the Cambridge United one where Clive Allen scored, and everyone just like, I remember that so vividly, that one.
Not many people talk about that Cambridge game, but that's up there.
That's brilliant, that game.
That promotion winning game.
Yeah.
That's there. And I don't know if you remember that game as well. Cambridge broke away, and then we got a brilliant goal that was given offside.
Yeah.
And we got away with that. But that's a game that was like massive.
Yeah. It's one of his first.
Don't get many people talk about it.
No, and it was one of his first games that I remember. Well, it was only my first real season there, so I didn't really have a back catalogue of games to fall back on. But it was. I remember having the guy next to me had the Portsmouth game on.
That's right, yeah.
And so it was like everyone was like huddled around him. It was like nowadays everyone's got a phone with notifications and stuff like that. But it had this little, I remember it, little radio, and it was like really crackly, and it was like, it was just hilarious. But I remember it so vividly because when that goal came in, when Clive Allen scored that second goal, I think Speedy scored the first goal, if I remember, and then David Speedy, God, there's a name of the past, and then Clive Allen scored the second, and then I remember because I was in the West Stand that time, and everyone ran on the pitch, and then literally I almost got taken out by a rope ladder, which someone threw from the top of the West Upper, and people were climbing down the rope ladder. I remember that. It was like, Jesus, what's that? Oh, absolutely brilliant. Mental, that was absolutely mental. Because you don't get many there. Obviously, you don't get many pitch invasions anymore now anyway, but that was sort of my vivid one, because I was like, this is just crazy. This is just what's going on, great day that was. Crazy things. But right. Let's talk about your 11, Vic, because I think this is going to be quite a good one. Because as you're as we've sort of established, you're more of an experienced fan than myself. That's a nice way of putting it, isn't it?
Right. Really? I've got to admit, it might not be to everyone's cup of tea.
No,
it's going to be very, very 60s, 70s, 80s biased.
Nice. Yeah, but I think
the reason for that is the criteria for my best 11 is there's got to be some longevity.
Yeah.
Right. So I won't be putting Paolo Futre in it. Put it that way. But he was the third best player in the world, according to Con Atkinson, and said we had no chance of signing him. Right. So there's going to be no Paolo Futre. Also, I've got to say, they would have had to have played their best career football in a West Ham shirt.
That's a good criteria. I like that. That is good. Yeah.
So that omits Rio.
Yeah.
Carrick, Cold a lot. I don't even like listing that lot. So that you could arguably say Rio would be alongside obviously the main man.
Yes.
The centre back, but not in my 11, simply because. There was no longevity with him, and he didn't play his best football for West Ham.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. That's good. Because too often than not, we get players. I call them, they bookend their career at West Ham. So they're either Rio Ferdinands and people like that, and Jeremy Ngakias, or they're Teddy Sheringham. You know what I mean? We never get like the ones in their pomp very often. So I like that. I've got a funny story about Palafutre because I was just talking to someone today. So Steve Jones, so Jonah told me a great story about Palafutre when they were training when they were doing the cross countries around the Hainault Forest, which is obviously pre-season. This limousine, they're all waiting to go for the run, and this limousine pulls up, and then the black windows just drop down, and this cigarette, those big sort of cigarello things, was just poking out with like it just smoking.
Yeah.
Door open, and the chauffeur gets out. Door opens. It's Paolo Futre, all dressed, ready to go in his training kit. He runs for about 15 minutes, jumps back in the limousine, then goes off. And Jonah's like, that's why I got to put in my 11 because the man had so much balls to do that. That's the first time he met everyone as well, which is good old Paolo Futre. Right, okay, so like the criteria, Vic, it's a nice idea. Right, we'll start off in goal then. Let's start off in goal then.
Well, there you go. Before I just tell you about the goalkeeper's choice, also, I'll be giving, without giving too many clues away, but it's going to be obvious. In my selection, there's 3 players I had as heroes spanning 3 decades.
Wow.
I.e. making debuts in the 60s and left us in the 80s. So, that's what being an old git I can fall back on, So anyway, obviously let's get to the goalkeeper.
Go on in.
There's not really any serious competitors to Parksy.
No.
Right? But before talking about Phil, Ludo, I thought was a fantastic goalkeeper for us. And there's one season in particular, it was a promotion season. We won so many games, 1-0. And Ludo was literally keeping us in those games. And for that reason, if I hadn't sort of witnessed the signing of Phil Parks, he probably would be me number one. But also, I've got to mention someone. I've got to mention Mervyn Day. Now, when Mervyn Day made his debut in 1973, beginning of the 73 season, he had a good run of games, and Ron Greenwood called him West Ham's goalkeeper for the next 10 years, right?
Yeah.
All well and good. And he had, leading up to maybe the 75 Cup final and then probably the following season, in my opinion, he was a much, much better goalkeeper than Pickford is now and Joe Hart ever was. That early spell of Mervyn Day. And I don't know if you know this, Russ, as well, he was the first recipient of the young player, PFA Young Player of the Year award.
Didn't know that, no.
Right, so Mervyn Day was a brilliant goalkeeper until he got married, and then it all went pear-shaped. That's what I was told. But Mervyn Day was good. But you can't look any further than Big Phil Parks, can you?
Nah.
In those days, in the late 70s up to the mid 80s, I was almost 100% home and away. Sure. I think I missed about 4 games in all those years, home and away. And I can only think of 2 mistakes Phil Parks ever made. One was away at Sunderland when he let it bounce off of his chest and it led to a goal. And another one was an home game against Liverpool. Cross come over from the west side and his knee went and he sort of parried across, which led to a goal. They are the only 2 mistakes I can remember Phil Parks making.
That's mental.
And he absolutely. I couldn't believe it. When people say they remember where they were when, say, like Kennedy got shot or Elvis died. I remember exactly where I was when we saw Phil Parks. It's like, man, I was sitting in my living room waiting for my mum to do me dinner, and the 6 o'clock news was on, and Reginald Bosanquet was reading the news. And at the end of the news, a little bit of sports news.
Yeah.
And West Ham United have just signed QPR goalkeeper Phil Parks for a world record fee, $565,000. I was reading the paper at the time, weren't paying too much attention. Like, did I just forget that? Right? Because Man United at the time had a rubbish keeper called Paddy Roach. Right? So Man United could have done with a keeper, right? And like, I went, what? I couldn't believe it. Parksy was absolutely brilliant. And I think he made his own debut at home against Oldham. But as soon as he got between the sticks, the confidence that he oozed, because he was brilliant, it just ran through the whole team. It was almost like his signing had an effect over the rest of the team.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then,
makes sense.
as I say, he was just fantastic for over 10 years for us, wasn't
Yeah, it's mental, wasn't it? And
he?
and it's like, obviously we had Marie on, we had his daughter on once,
Yeah,
which was lovely, and just yeah, he's just like, obviously she speaks obviously so highly of her dad anyway, but everyone we've had on, the ex players as well who were playing obviously around Phil's time, and it's something about goalkeepers. I think I didn't I don't think I think I underestimated the role of a goalkeeper until Fabianski got injured and then Roberto came
yeah,
in,
yeah,
because it's just so it's like when you're building like a house of cards,
yeah,
and the goalkeeper's the bottom bit, and if that goes, the whole structure just goes, because everyone, as you said, like as soon as Parksy went between the sticks, everyone, like the whole team, are more confident, and it's so crucial to have a good goalkeeper, isn't
yeah.
it?
He was
And
brilliant.
yeah,
I actually thought that. I mean, obviously we had Shilton and Clements
sure, yeah,
in front. I thought Parksy, perhaps this is me being biased, he was better than Joe Corrigan, but Parksy was probably the third best goalkeeper in England. But
oh yeah,
I still made him world class, because
yeah,
I think he probably could have got in 95% of teams worldwide. He was
yeah.
that good. That's how highly I rated him.
Mm.
What a
And it's
side.
one of those things with West Ham players as well. They seem to always turn up at the wrong time of their career in terms of England. So as you said, like if Parksy was a few years either side, he would have been England number one,
Yeah, yeah,
really, wouldn't he? So and it's happens a few times with West Ham players. But yeah, Parksy's just and eventually we're getting him on eventually. When he doesn't like doing all this. I mean, you didn't have a problem at all with doing this, Vic. Literally straight on. You got this yourself, but. So yeah, well, Marie's promised we're doing it in his bar, so I'll take that. I'll
yeah,
take that. I'll wait. It's all right, Marie. I'll wait so I can do it in the bar. I'm fine. Right. Okay. We'll put Parksy in. You go through the team as you want, Vic. You go in whatever order you got it down, mate.
All right. Well, we'll go for right back.
Sure.
Again, going back to the like the 60s and that.
Mm.
I can't really. Although, as I said earlier, that it's 60, 70, 80s based. I was looking at players from a child's perspective. So
Yeah.
what I love doing now, I love getting all the old DVDs and all the old film. I like watching old matches and that
Yeah.
through an adult's eyes now. But
Yes.
I don't think we've had a plethora of good right backs.
Nah.
Now, I'm obviously going to name my right back, but I could quite easily have had Frank Lampard at right back, because he was a right-footed left back, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was very, very tempted to put him right back, because most people's first choice would be the other player that played left back, as a left back, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was tempted to put Frank right back, but I can't go past Ray Stewart.
Yeah.
Ray Stewart. We had that at the end of the season when we got relegated, and that we had a bit of a clear out, didn't we? And then one of John's first signings was Ray Stewart, made his debut away at Barnsley in the League Cup game. I went up to see that, and he was the best young right back in Scotland at the time.
Yeah.
I think John had a good relationship with the Dundee United manager, and so we signed Ray, and I thought, straight away I thought he was good. And again, my criteria, he played for us for over 10 years, there's longevity there. And another thing I actually remember, every now and again, he like, obviously in emergencies, he used to come into centre back. He was brilliant in the air, Ray Stewart as well. Absolutely brilliant. I think he played centre back when we beat Everton at Ellen Road. And because Alvin had tonsillitis, and they moved Ray Stewart in the centre back. And I can remember him being brilliant in the air, but as a fullback, he was strong. He was athletic as well, wasn't he? I just thought he was a very, very good young player, and he did well for us, Ray Stewart.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. I know. Obviously, going back, watching a lot of, and also obviously the penalties. We mentioned the Fulham penalties, and no one does that anymore, do they?
No.
No one just tonks it, do they? No one like him just hits it hard. They all try and do these Panenka stuff, but top bloke. And again, he's another one who's a bit of a technophobe, so we'll get him on eventually. We can do face to face, but he's brilliant. He's lovely bloke as well. Like if you meet him, he'll talk to you.
Mutual friend Len, who organises these functions. I'm happy to say I've met all my heroes, and every time you meet Ray, he's a lovely fella. Nothing in too much trouble. Photograph. Love. Oh, he's like old school sort of thing.
Yes, yeah, and all that generation. All that generation are as well, aren't they? It's like everyone we've interviewed from that sort of era, so to speak. They're all just lovely and have all the time. I mean, literally, bless him. I text because I don't like phoning people if they don't know me, so I text everyone. And he texts me, and he basically phoned me back within like 2 minutes of me texting him, and he just said, "Hi Russ, it's Ray Stewart. Oh, hi Ray, how are you?" And he went, "Look, I'm not gonna do it because I don't like doing the internet stuff, but we'll do it when we're back at London Stadium." Yeah, it's cool. That's no problem at all, man. I thanks for getting back to me. He then chatted for about an hour and a half about West Ham, just like I've never met the man. And then after about an hour and a half, he says, "Russ, I'm sorry, mate, I'm gonna have to go because the tea bags are just dried off the line. I've got to get them in before it gets wet again." Typical sweaty, but yeah. Top bloke. Right, we'll put Tonks in. You carry on, Vic. Who's next, mate?
Left back.
Yeah, go on then.
I'm gonna get slaughtered for this. Absolutely slaughtered. I'm not gonna put Julian in now.
No, yeah.
And again, Frank, I had him as one of my heroes for over 3 decades. You can't argue with 2 FA Cup winners' medals either.
You can't. No, you can't.
I know he played left back for the majority of his career. I actually remember his debut.
Sure, wow.
Man City at home, 67. He played right back that night, or so he reminded me when I met him a few months ago. I thought he played left back. I said, "Sorry, Frank, I was only 8." But I'm going to put Frank in there, even though I think Julian was actually the more talented player.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And Julian was very, very inspiring as well, wasn't he? What a left foot. He had a beautiful left foot, didn't he, Julian? Obviously, without stating the obvious, took no prisoners, was an excellent defender. But I'm going with Frank because of my criteria, the longevity, and he was part of 2 excellent West Ham teams over the years. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, you can't. There's not many people left really who have done what he's done in his career in terms of West Ham. I think with Frank, and it's funny. I talked to a lot of the more experienced fans and the sort of the older players as well about Frank when they pick him for their sides, and it's one of those things where he seems to get obviously based on people. Don't necessarily look at him as the player, but obviously then there's the assistant manager and obviously who his son is and stuff like that. And therefore, he's not revered in the way that he should be. Do you know what I mean? Like with the Billy Bonds and Bobby Moores and, you see how many games he played for West Ham, and he should be revered in the, but he's always like probably about 5th. Do you know what I mean? When people talk about the greats of West Ham, he should be higher up. And it's a shame because as you said, he's just like won 2 FA Cup medals. Hello, how many people did that?
Here's something, Russ, that not many people talk about. He actually played more for West Ham than Bobby Moore did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
actually second, didn't he?
Second, yeah. Yes.
That's got to give you something, isn't it?
It's totally, and I just think it's a real shame because we're sort of revering these these legends and like people like Billy and there's obviously Bonzo, it was Moro and Brookin and but he I just think there's and it's probably unfortunately one of those things that happens when he's not here anymore, because that seems to happen. Everyone sort of remembers people after they've gone. We're actually taking advantage, like with Billy when we had to do the stand. That was the right thing to do at the right time. So yeah, it's one of my big missions. I don't know how I do it, but yeah.
Just a couple of memories of Frank is that I used to love the way he used to deal with John Chidozie. I mean, first when he was at Orient and then he went to Notts County. I mean, like I had a really great crowd of fellow supporters. We used to go on the coaches together, and we did all the grounds, and we used to look forward to Notts County away because like when Chidozie used to come up against Frank, it was like carnage, absolutely carnage. But I suppose my lasting memory of Frank is, apart from him obviously scoring the goal at Ellen Road and his goal celebration, this was Alan Devonshire's debut for West Ham. It was a League Cup game at home against QPR, right? We lost the game 2-0, I believe. But I was standing right by the tunnel, right? Anyway, QPR, I don't know if anyone's spoken to you about this before. QPR are kicked off. This is to start the match, right? They've kicked off. They've played the ball straight out of Dave Thomas, who's standing like on the halfway line, but on the touch line, right by the tunnel. The game's 3 seconds old. Frank's taking him out, waist high, right? And like, this is up to 3 seconds. It's one of the most horrendous tackles I've ever seen in my life. And there was Don Masson. I was so close to the pitch, it was unbelievable. Don Masson, he actually used an expletive, right? And basically, with this expletive, he went, bloody hell, Frank, what was that all about? Right? And I heard Don Masson say it. And of course, Frank got up, probably patted Dave Thomas on the head and walked away. But that's, I think, a lot of people that were at that game will never forget that tackle.
Brilliant. Love it. I love things like this. It's brilliant. It's so funny. It's almost like you. What I love about doing these interviews is almost like you're reliving you're reliving people's experiences. But but for me, it's almost like a first time. So it's like I'm going to go back and go and look at some of those examples and go and find the clips on YouTube and stuff. So it's brilliant. So that's what I'm doing here. I always write notes. Everyone asks what I write on here, and I write notes of things to watch. Right, okay, we'll put
stuff.
Lovely stuff. So we'll put Frank Senior in. You centre half then. Who's your first centre half?
Centre half. Well, let's get the obvious out of the way. Really, I mean, obviously Bobby Moore.
Yeah.
If I'm playing like a 4-4-2, I know he played like left wing half when he first got in the side. But I think, if we're going to sort of have a balance of, systems, it's just easier to go for. So, so we'll have Bobby Moore, and, what can I say about him? I haven't been said before, I was lucky enough to meet him, and he signed a ball for me, which I've still got. I've got a bit of a memorabilia collection that I'm quite proud of. And one of the main pieces I've got a plain white leather football that I got 30 odd years ago. And I've got all my favourite players to sign over the years to sign in each like little panel. And it was difficult enough just to get an old fashioned plain white leather football.
Sure,
in each of the panels, I've got all my favourite players, and I wrote to all the players. But Bobby Moore was working for Capital Gold Sport at the time, and I managed to meet him, and I got a fantastic photo done with him. But unfortunately, like he wasn't well at the time, so so that's a memory off the pitch I've got of him. But I can remember sort of obviously going in those early days, and this is another thing that I don't like about the modern game. It's only something silly, but in those days, the teams used to come out separately, if you probably remember.
Sure.
Now it's all choreographed with like the Premier League logo, and they'll pass each other and shake each other's hands. One of the great things about going to Upton Park was the atmosphere that the fans created. And you could really ram that home when the team came out on their own, the Upton Park roar, But like I can remember getting it as a little boy, getting in the ground really early and obviously really excited. And then the image of Bobby Moore coming out of the tunnel, and it's my favourite kit of all time. That's this kit. And his white shorts and his white socks, immaculate, almost like medicinal. He looked so crisp, but it was like godlike with Bobby Moore. And that's the image that you got. And I think everyone said everything about Bobby Moore.
Yeah, I mean, we've interviewed some players who are obviously fortunate enough to have played with Bobby as well, and just the way he conducted himself, within the team. He'd wait at the players' entrance and shake everyone's hand when they come in, and like stuff like that. Class. And obviously we had people like Matt Lorenzo on, who did like a massive, the Bobby Moore documentary. And so it's brilliant. And so and obviously he knew Bobby quite well through his dad as well. So just an incredible man. And that's the idea again. If this whole thing is to sort of categorize all these different memories. As you've got memories of him meeting him and signing his football when he was at Capital and stuff. And I love it. Right, Mr. Moore is in. I think that was a nailed on one, to be honest. Right, okay. Who is next then, Vic?
the centre back pairing is
Yeah.
probably my most difficult decision out of the lot. Because like most of my team, they pick themselves, to be quite honest. But
Yeah.
going back, we had a good centre back in the 60s, obviously, Ken Brown, senior.
Yeah.
But then we went years. We must have gone almost 20 years without actually replacing him. We tried Alan Stevenson, we tried Tommy
Yeah.
Taylor, but it wasn't until Manuel Pogatex came into the side that I thought
Exactly. I was literally typing in Pogatex. I was seeing if it was a P-O-G.
Yeah.
I was just googling it.
Oh, I'm thinking of Strodder the Plodder. I'm
Yeah.
thinking of Paul Hilton, but
Yeah.
sorry to disappoint everyone. It's got to be Alvin.
Yeah.
It's got to be Alvin. Brilliant. I loved Alvin Martin. Absolutely loved him.
Mm.
Yeah, and I thought, he's until Alvin got in the side, we hadn't really had a commanding centre back since Ken Brown.
Yeah, it's a great shout. Yeah, you're right, and one of those players who, weren't from around these parts, but came down as a young kid, really, from Liverpool, and then still lives in the area, and all that stuff. So I still see him around quite a bit. But he's top bloke, isn't he? Top bloke, and again, 20 years of the club, wasn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, two testimonials, didn't they?
2 testimonials. Nowadays, if you get 3 years out of a player, you've done well, haven't you?
Yeah.
So
again, fulfills all my criteria.
Yes, exactly. Tick, tick, tick.
Best football for West Ham. Had the longevity.
Yeah.
And he's like an adopted Cockney, really, isn't he? Yeah, like Ray Stewart. They endear themselves so much to the fans that, like, you forget Ray Stewart's a jock sometimes, and Alvin's a passer. They're like us. They're like one of us.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Right, okay, we'll put Alvin into midfield. Go on then, Vic.
Well, 4 in midfield. I'm thinking, do I go with a diamond? And I think, no, I don't know. I'm just going to hit you with 4 midfield players.
Yeah, just do it, man.
A couple of them will be obvious. They'll all be obvious. But a couple that their positions will sort of be obvious. Right, so let's go left midfield. I'm going Dev.
Yeah.
What a player. Honestly, when he made his debut against QPR that night, I was a bit disappointed in myself, because at the time, I was following all the youth. I was down Chapel Heath Saturday mornings watching the under 18s and the under 16s.
Sure.
Following a lot of it was before the academy system as we
know it.
And so if you wanted to see the youth team, you'd either go and see them at Upton Park in an FA Youth Cup game or South East Counties, or if you wanted to, really follow it, you'd have to go over Chapel Heath on a Saturday morning. And this player called Alan Devonshire's in the side. I've never heard of him. I thought, where they got him from? I've never seen him at Chapel Heath as a youngster, and I was disappointed in myself in not knowing him. Anyway, he had a good game that night, and he just went on to be, one of our best ever players. Yeah. And I'm not comparing him to George Best, but when he used to pick the ball up deep, say from Partsy, and then just turn and run, right? I'm mentioning George Best, no one compares to George Best.
No.
But he would glide past players, right? And then you think he was running at his peak speed, and then all of a sudden he'd take off again.
Yeah.
Within the same run, the defender would think they've got him here, and then somehow he'd have that little burst of speed again. He was brilliant, Alan Devonshire. Absolutely loved him.
Yeah, and again, one of, you look at players now, and obviously, what I think, because we picked him out of, relative obscurity as well, for $5,000 or whatever. What we can get for $5,000 nowadays, you know what I mean? Like a second-hand Fiesta or something like that. What would he be worth in today's market? But him. What I think compared to modern players as well is obviously he got the injury and he came back a completely different player. He had to reinvent himself. Yeah, nowadays, footballers are so one-dimensional, it seems. Yeah. I always think of someone like Michael Owen. When Michael Owen did his hamstring in, he was never the same player, because that was all his game was pace.
Yeah.
Where Dev had to do sort of, he had to redevelop himself into the the 85, 86 version of Alan Devastator. Do you know what I mean? It's just, and so
and that was still a brilliant version, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
But can you imagine how good he would have been? And like, you know, in this day and age, how long would he have been with us?
Yeah.
You know? So that's why, again, going back to the bias, you know, football was a different game in those days where the clubs had the power, the players didn't. You know, player power really has changed the game since.
It has, yeah.
But Dev, what a player! Yeah, loved him.
Yeah. Top bloke as well. Lovely bloke. We've had him on. He couldn't work. He couldn't work all this out, Vic. That's what I'm saying. I had like a 20-minute conversation with his wife trying to sort it out. Bless him. But he's and he's just had a hip operation, isn't he? So he's recovering from that at the moment. So he's not doing the old Maidenhead stuff at the moment. He's giving it to his assistant manager. So
I knew he had it, but I didn't realise he'd pulled back on the coaching there.
Yeah, I think it's only while he's recovering from it. So, but he's all right. I mean, Maidenhead seems to be doing all right at the moment, so it's all good. Right, okay, that's Devin. Who's next then, Vic?
Sir Trev. Oh, honestly, I feel when I mention a couple of these midfielders' names, I've been in their company a few times. I mean, I could name drop for England simply because of all the functions I've been to, and just to be in the same room as Trevor Brooking. And as I say, I actually remember him scoring an hat-trick against Newcastle. That would have been about 68. About 68, 69, and he could have left us because he weren't getting a decent run in the side. But obviously, he's become one of our greatest of all time. And I just loved the way he glided across the pitch, didn't he? And then my lasting memory about Trevor Brooking is my actual favourite goal at Upton Park, which is his second against Eintracht Frankfurt. Right now, that game, if you're asking about, your favourite games, every at my age would say Frankfurt. No two ways about it. But I was at printing college at the time, and in Dagenham, and I had to catch the bus to Upton Park from Dagenham. And it was torrential rain. You get off the bus, you get soaked, like the rain's pouring down. But you knew Brooking was going to be brilliant. You knew he was going to be brilliant that night.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you ever seen the game on.
I've had to watch it. Yeah.
Puddles everywhere.
Yeah.
And honestly, I never ever get sick and tired of watching that goal. I mean, people talk about the Di Canio volley against Wimbledon.
Yeah.
My actual favourite Di Canio goal is not that one. It's the one he gets against Arsenal at the South Bank end.
Yeah.
When he does Keown on Tony Adams. But that's my lasting memory of Trevor Brooking is that his second goal against Eintracht Frankfurt. I absolutely love it, and I'll get a bit emotional. I'll be honest with you. When I talk about Trev and another midfield selection of mine.
Yeah, I could probably guess who it's going to be, but I mean with Trevor as well, he just and Dev as well. What I've realised, obviously, because I've been watching a lot more of the older games, particularly like the first lockdown when there was no football on, was just the state of those pitches, and they would play in the way they were playing on these bogs of pitches. I remember when we interviewed Frank. Macca, he said to me, go and watch that Chelsea game. We beat them 4-0 at Chelsea. It's literally like a sand, it's literally like a beach. Yeah. And they were still playing incredible football. What could they do on the bowling greens of London Stadium? Do you know what I mean? How much would they be worth in terms of money as well? Absolutely mental. But
I'll tell you the match to watch if you're talking about pitches is 5-1 away win at Man City, Jimmy Greaves' debut, right? That's the game to watch. For the pitches. It's unbelievable. There's not a blade of grass on the pitch. It's just mud. It's just mud and water. That's all it is. That's where Ronnie Boyce gets that volley from the halfway line.
Oh yeah, I've seen the goal. Right, yeah. Let's see. I've written my note down.
If you're comparing pitches.
Yeah, we'll do. All right, so it puts a Trev in. Who's he going to partner in the midfield then? I wonder.
It's pretty.
Let me just type in Jonathan. So I've got to type in Jonathan Spector. Sorry.
Oh, that's a good idea, Jonathan Spector.
he had that one guy, that Man United game. You can't, when it's like, where the hell is this player? Do you remember he scored a brace?
Embarrassing about that Man United game. We had mugs produced, didn't we? The club shop produced mugs. Was it 4-0 or 4-1?
Oh, something like that. It was pissing down. I remember. Yeah.
Bit embarrassing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But,
anyway.
now obviously we're going with Billy Bonds.
Yeah.
And I've got a quick try and tell this quickly. When we signed Billy Bonds in 1967, I was on a Cubs holiday, right? So I'm 8 years old. I'm on a Cubs holiday at Bognor Regis, right? And what's happened is West Ham have actually pushed a boat out here, which was unknown for us, right?
Yeah.
We signed 3 players. We spent a world record fee on a goalkeeper. Not the world's greatest goalkeeper, Gordon Banks, who wants to come and play with his World Cup winning teammates, right?
No, yeah.
Not Scotland's number 1, right? But Scotland's second best goalkeeper, we spend a world record fee on, right?
Yeah.
Ferguson, right?
Yeah.
So there's one signing. The other signing, the centre half, John Cushley, right? Celtic reserve. I think he was like, you see him in the celebratory photos when Celtic win the European Cup, so he was in the squad, right? And Billy Bonds, right? So we had sort of no telephone or nothing like that. So the only way I could find out how these 3 players debuted was getting off this coach like week after. I knew we'd lost the game 3-2, Sheffield Wednesday. I come running upstairs and went, Dad, like, what are 3 new signings like, Dad? My dad said the goalkeeper's rubbish, the centre half's rubbish, but the young lad Bonds looks a good player. Right, so that was my first report on Billy Bonds. Now, obviously, he signed as a right back.
Yes,
I thought he was great as a right back, right? And I don't know whether many people remember he actually played a couple of games on the wing, right? So, but obviously, he ends up getting moved from right back into midfield, which was my favourite Billy Bonds position.
Yeah.
Love those pictures of him with his ankles, like his socks around his ankles, that beard, And do you know what? I'll actually describe Billy Bonds. This might sound biased. I think he was the fairest hard man I've ever seen.
Really?
All those other hard men were nasty, so and so.
Yeah.
Weren't nasty. He was just hard.
Yeah.
And I can remember him saying he used to get such a buzz out of, whether this is a word or it makes sense, he used to love out fitnessing his opponent.
Yeah.
Right? So he would go through, as all these players were dropping, like flies, Bill would still be trudging through that mud and not taking any nonsense. And everyone took liberties with Trev, Bill's in there, and no nonsense. And then obviously he moves back to centre half at the veteran stage of his career. Yeah. But I loved him. I loved him as a midfield player. But I'm leaving a few. I'm about to name my 4th midfielder, but I've got to mention Graham Paddon. I love Graham. He was a beautiful footballer, and he gave us we had a lovely left side in leading up to the 75 Cup final. We had Frank on the left, even though he was right-footed, and then we had Graham Paddon on the left side of midfield, and on the left side up front was Keith Robson, right? And Robbo had a couple of great years for us. He was no nonsense, but Graham Paddon as a midfielder I loved Al Berkovic. But I thought Berkovic was a lovely footballer, and to this day, and I'll include where I'm from and how early I can comment on it.
Yeah.
Al Berkovic was the greatest exponent of what I call the final ball. That when you get, you can build up from the back through the field, but it's that all important final pass that creates the goal scoring chance. I haven't seen anyone in a claret and blue shirt provide that final pass as well as he did. I thought Berkovic was brilliant. Yeah, so I feel as if I have to mention Graham Paddon and Al Berkovic. But my fourth choice is field, and where you're going to play him, I don't know. Because he was such a talented player, and he played in every position, right? And it's Martin Peters.
Yeah.
Did he play his best football in a West Ham shirt? I think he did just. Right? But I've had so many players that I've met over the years and in the know tell me out of the 3, Hurstmore and Peters, he was actually the most naturally gifted player out.
That's what they say, isn't it? Yeah, that's what they say out of him, yeah.
He was an absolutely magnificent player, Martin Peters. And I mean, work my system out. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to but he could literally have played anywhere, you know. I don't, you know. So,
That's
yeah,
not. That's quite a tasty midfield. That Vic, to be honest, quite tasty indeed.
He's got to be in there, Peter. It's like where are you going to play him? I'm not so
Yeah.
sure, but you're going to be playing Dev there, and Trev. I suppose there's a little bit of flexibility with Trev across that line somewhere. Bonzi's like he's just sorting everyone out, and
yes,
just...
and it was nice to see. Like, obviously, we talked about Bonzo. I said that the whole naming the stand after him, like last season, and was it last season? Yeah, it must have been last season, and stuff like that. You know, again, a man who doesn't show any, he never showed any emotion. You know, it's almost be breaking down crying. You know, there's lots of dry eyes, not many dry eyes in London Stadium that day, but
I was in tears myself.
Yeah, it was lovely.
He came right over to us.
And, yes, yeah.
And he came right over to us. Well, I was actually sitting in the Billy Bond stand.
There we go. He was literally going because this is stand. So yeah.
And when he started giving it that, and then he started crying, and that set me off. I was a wreck. I was all over the place to see him in tears, like the realization of what he meant to all us lot. You know.
Yeah.
Billy Bonds and Trevor Brooke. There's two words that I hear in everyday vocabulary, and I attach the word magnificent to Billy Bonds and the word elegant to Trevor Brooking.
Yeah.
When I hear those two words, it's always the elegant Trevor Brooking, the magnificent Billy Bonds.
Yeah. That's brilliant. Yeah, it was lovely to see. And it was nice as well because obviously Alvin was doing the PA for that, and all the boys were there, and there was like obviously some of the boys he's played with, some of the ones he managed, and yeah, it was a lovely thing. Well, we're overdue, to be honest. Right, okay. Who's going to be up front then? Who's going to be up front?
Up front, main target man is going to be Sir Jeff.
Yeah.
Again, like Moro, what can I say that hasn't been said before? You know, I called it to my dad. He was just an average wing half, you know, going nowhere until Ron obviously converted him there. And I watched the World Cup final not long ago.
Yeah.
Hurst is, apart from him obviously getting the hat-trick and like the perfect hat-trick as well.
Yeah.
He's got everything. He's got pace. He's got strength. He's great in the air. Technically, I mean, again, you don't get many people talk about this, but that controversial goal when Bally goes down the right wing and he whips that ball in, and then obviously like Jeff hits the shot and it hits the bar.
Yeah.
But you watch how Jeff takes that ball, how he receives the ball in the box. His first touch and his turn and swivel, and then to get the shot in. Technically, that was magnificent.
Yeah.
That was magnificent. But I've got a target man. I've got to be Hursley. Like, you know, again, there's no competition for his place in my 11. But you could mention Dean Ashton. I think Dean Ashton, he could have been a West Ham legend.
He could have been. Yeah.
Probably would have stayed with us if you know. I think he may. He certainly had the ability to be a potential England regular. Dean Ashton.
Definitely.
We loved him, and I think obviously he was very unlucky, but I think we would have seen him for more than like the odd 2 or 3 years.
Artson,
I'll be honest with you, my overriding emotion of John Artson was, like, you know, when him and Paul Kitson helped to stay up, and then the following season, Artson was unmarkable on certain occasions. He was a beast, unmarkable. Obviously knew where the goal was, but then he took his foot off the pedal, and whether that coincided with a dodgy knee or something, but my lasting emotion of John Artson is disappointment. You know, he took his foot off, he put on tons of weight, and then he weren't bothered, and so he don't even come into the equation. But so really, when you're thinking of target men, other than Hursty, you're looking at Artson or Dean Ashton. But it's obviously Hursty for me. Yeah,
definitely. And obviously you've been fortunate enough to see the three of them play in it as well, which is a nice, a great thing to be able to do. Right, okay, so Hursty's in, and then that means there's one more spot. Vic, one more spot, man.
I cannot tell you how much I loved this man. And at one of the functions, I must have had one too many Peronis, because I kept telling him that. I kept saying to him, "Do you realise how well you're thought of at West Ham.
Yeah.
It's Pop Robson.
Lovely.
Pop Robson.
Good old Pop.
He was fantastic, and again, he could have played for most teams in
Yeah.
at that time. But my favourite story about Pop Robson is when he signed for us for the second time. A mate of mine was an apprentice at West Ham at the time. And my mate told me, he said, like at training, like when you had the training games and that, when Pop Robson had a shot on goal, it hit the target every single time. Not necessarily score every time, but he never ever missed the target. And
Wow.
if you go back over the old DVDs and your videos, I think this game's actually on the Billy Bond story. Funnily enough, we played a game against Man United. Again, that was about 72, and he gets 2 goals. Both of those goals in that game were fantastic goals. Yeah. Great technique, great finishing, and I think his finishing was world class. I wouldn't call him a world class player, but I've read Bobby Moore's first book, or the book that he wrote. There's been many about Bobby since, but there's somewhere in there that says Bobby Moore reckoned he was as good as Gerd Muller, right? Wow. And the only reason why he wasn't thought of as good as Gerd Muller is because Ron Greenwood didn't tell him. So that's a little slur on Ron Greenwood's man management. But according to Bobby Moore, Pop Robson was as good as Gerd Muller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also the thing about Pop as well is we've had TC on, we've had Crossy on as well, and both of them basically, Pop Robson was their idol.
Yeah.
And obviously Crossy was fortunate enough to play with him.
Loves Crossy as well.
Oh, top bloke, top guy. And so him and obviously Cotty. So not only the fact that Pop played for West Ham and obviously had an effect on people when he was playing, but obviously someone like Tony Cotty being his idol. It's just like it's a circle of life type thing. But lovely man, Pop.
Russ, look at the players I've missed out. Do you normally ask for substitutes?
Yeah, who would you have on substitute? I don't usually, but go on in.
Someone can say, "Oh, I left Paolo out of the team." I mean, I'm looking for players to get me out of my seat. I mean, we had some rubbish teams when Paolo was in the team, right? But one touch from Paolo could make the entrance fee. Bit too recent. Payet, genuine world class player.
Oh yeah.
No longevity. His attitude stunk towards the end. How can I even consider these players? So, Slaven Bilic was a brilliant centre-back for us.
Yeah.
He was with us about a year and a half.
Yeah.
Demanded to go to Everton for £10,000 a week.
Yeah.
That's what he left us for.
Yeah.
He wanted £10,000 a week wages. But ability-wise,
oh, he's great, wasn't he?
He's on my bench. Ludo's on my bench. For Julian. I could imagine I'm getting slaughtered for not putting Julian in. Probably the best left-back we've had in 50, 60 years, but not my choice.
No, it's a generational thing as well, Vic, isn't it? It's like, because it's like for me, he is, because I never saw Frank any other left backs really, apart from, Pablo Amero. It was like a toss up between Pablo and Wayne Quinn. Sorry, I was like,
oh yeah, stop it.
So many. It was like, I couldn't drop, which one to pick. But
centre back, who could forget Hotel Head, Paul Hilton?
Yeah, exactly. Or Javier Margas, another hotel person, because obviously he famously jumped out the Swallow Hotel, didn't he? Second floor. Why he didn't walk out the door, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Do not know, but yes. But we've had a few, and I think we've had about 250 different players have come up. So it just shows you it's not all, because we do this little generational thing, it means that it's not always the best players. It's because some kid, we had little Jake Cox on the other day. He's only 13, so he hasn't got the best. Well, we're doing it right now, but until recently. So no, it's lovely, and that's why I love these things, because I love just talking about old players and sort of reliving your memories again, which is fantastic. But Vic, man, it's been brilliant. Thank you so much for your time.
Right,
really enjoyed it.
I'm well chuffed you've asked me, Russ.
Oh, don't be silly. It's all we're all fans, and it doesn't matter who we get on. You know, everyone loves listening to other people's stories. As I said, it's all good. I think we've had over 230 different guests on. So, thank you so much. And obviously,
I'd like to meet you in person one day.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, do you know what? I don't think I'm going to have to buy a beer until about 2050 by the looks of it, because everyone's like, next game, next when we can meet again. It's like, yeah, I know.
Thinking about you buying me one.
Yeah, well, yeah. So, yeah. We'll do it. We'll do it when Len starts doing up his things again.
Yeah,
I'll go along to one. I'll go along to one. But obviously, thank you to everyone for watching as well. If you're watching on YouTube, give it a like, give it a share. If you're watching it on listen to it Spotify, Apple iPods, whatever, give it a share, give it a subscribe. And then from me and Vic, take care, everyone. Stay safe, wash those hands, come in your irons, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Take care, everyone. See you later. Bye-bye.